Hello. So what am I up to? What do you think? I'm importing more junk. This is the Twerker 289 intake that I put in a previous video. And this came off of a car that my son had bought. And it was an old school race car. So we're going to do some work to this, and most of the work we're going to do is going to be just straightening things out and making this a little bit better. I mentioned in the last video, these intakes are very thin around the plenum here. So the only real way to make this thing a very high flowing intake would be to modify this thing, and it would have to be welded or have epoxy in it to make this where it's going to be, we'll say, a intake that would be close to like a Victor Jr. But we are not doing that. Not this time, guys. I'm a little bit busy. So what we're going to do is make this just better. And I hope you can see there's just a lot of areas that can be straightened out, that this thing will actually be improved. And I'm going to angle the plenum back into the runners where they're kind of at a disadvantage. A few of these runners are. Some are able to pick up the air a lot better. And if it picks up the air better, guess what? It's also picking up the fuel better. So you want to try to make this as equal as possible. And there's a couple of these little runners here that are a little bit stingy. But let's keep in mind that this intake's been around since 1976. According to the patent that's on the back of it. So I saw these intakes on a lot of vehicles back in the day, and the way they were good for mid 11s, at least on the cars I saw these on. And of course you're talking steel headed, old school 289s, and probably for the most part they had 10-to-1 compression, somewhere around there. So it wasn't like they were a real powerhouse, but this was common stuff back in the day. And over the years, I think people have changed their mind what color they wanted it. You had the original aluminum, then of course I had the Ford blue. Maybe somebody was going for a sleeper thing here. But if they were doing that, you would think they would take off, grind the Edelbrock down, and take off the identification dead giveaways, like such as Twerker. But who knows? Maybe they just wanted the Ford blue to look a certain way, and somebody else might have liked the red, evidently. So you never know when you get your hands on something that's been around for years, the other person's way of thinking. But I'll tell you what they did do. They left it stock, because this has a lot of imperfections in it. The blue here is where I marked it, trying to show you guys where I'm going to kind of concentrate on when I first get in here. These are like a lip there, and it's out of shape. So I really tried to get a yellow marker like that little rascal right here, but I couldn't find my yellow pencil, and that would give you guys a more of a easier way to see what I'm talking about here. But we're not going to go crazy on this. This is just going to be one of these deals. I'm going to try to make the runners straighter, take the curve off of them where they have a real bad curve to them. And as you know, on the stock intake, most of them have a lip around the flange right here, the port rather, and some are worse than others. But that's just what we're going to do. We're going to port the water passages. That's important, especially something that's been sitting around. And I think we should pull the thermostat out of this if it has one in it. That needs to come off. Anytime you want to try using used stuff, if you have something that has an old thermostat in it, you might want to consider pulling that out, because you don't need to start your engine up, tune it in, and then see the old temperature gauge go over it because of something like this. If you have to, fire it up without a thermostat in it if you don't have one. That's better than having the thermostat be stuck and overheat the engine, and then you have your radiator spewing some water out of it and pushing pressure and all that happy fun stuff that happens, all because of a little tiny thing you didn't want to take out because you were in a hurry. I've seen it many times. Maybe you guys, that might be the first thing you would do, and then you have other guys, they will just put that on and see how it runs. But that's what makes the world tick. We're all different. But on a happy note, that could save you a lot of aggravation, making sure there's not a thermostat that's stuck in that intake. You never know when you have old used intakes and things. Even something that you take off your vehicle, such as this intake. Let's say you take it off, you're working on your vehicle, it maybe sits over the winter, and you say, well, it was fine when I took it off. That could cause you a problem when you put it back on. But anyway, I think I said enough about that. We're going to just make this a little bit better, and it's not going to be anything real fancy. I do have to find out what size gasket we're going to be using on the heads, and then I'll decide how much I want to open these up, if I want to port match to the gasket, or I may just leave these small. That might catch people off guard, and you'll say, oh, I just seen a thing where they pick up 10 horsepower port matching. I just seen another thing, they picked up all this big horsepower. On an average low compression engine, I don't think you'll see hardly anything, port matched or not. And sometimes it can help you leaving it on the small side. Low compression engine, yeah. And especially consider this, if you was to port match this and you get the port off a little bit, and this is actually bigger than the head by just a smidgen, well, you're better off leaving this small than going too big. I will tell you that. You can do what you want with that. So I give what I think for information, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So that's what they say. But anyway, I just give my little 2 cents, and hopefully it helps someone out. I did start on this side a little bit and just take the flange off of it a little bit here where it hung over. The lip, rather. I don't know why I say flange, but it has a lip extra casting and things like that. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try to straighten this out, take this back a little bit, make it straighter, and I really don't want to make the runners any larger inside. There's no sense trying to squeeze more out of this than what it's capable of doing, because these work pretty decent, and we're going for better than the way it is right now. So I don't want to make it worse than what it is right now by doing something crazy. I don't have time to put all the effort into this thing just to prove what we can make it do. Not this time. So anyway, I'm hoping I can stay with that. I always say that, and then I wind up, you'll see me with the epoxy or getting my son to weld it. Not this time. I want to keep this on a rule of thumb, a cleanup, straighter, and that's about it with this intake, guys. So anyway, I thought I'd share this with you. I said in my last video, I'm unsure what we're going to put this on as far as what car, and I'd like to actually, my son's very busy, but I'd like to actually test one against the other on a couple intakes we have. We have the dual plane, that's our favorite, the Action Plus, and then we have this intake. So I know the accelerator intake that is very close to this Edelbrock. The accelerator intake, we know what kind of performance we get out of that. So I think this here will be about a toss-up, what one would really be better. I think it's so close, I don't think it would matter much. Maybe if you had the same vehicle, or if you had a vehicle with the same combination, low profile cam, or maybe even a stock cam, and you took the accelerator off and put this one on, I'd like to see what one actually goes faster. Now I will say this, we took a Torque 2 intake and we experimented with that, and then we put the accelerator on the same engine, and that happened to be where Adam, I believe, said it lost a little bit of bottom end, but it made it up in mile per hour. He should do a video about that. He might have even discussed that before, but you lose track of what you talk about on YouTube. I've done videos, I don't remember even talking about things. But anyway, we're going to do a cleanup on this thing, and for any of you guys looking for me to go crazy on this, I don't want to disappoint you, but this should be something that somebody trying to port or do a nice little cleanup on an intake, and they want to get an idea how to maybe do something like this here, and they've never done it before. This should be kind of a little maybe learning video for them. Less is more, guys, when you're not experienced, I will tell you that. It's better to leave certain things alone if you don't know for sure it's going to improve the performance. So after all, we put these parts on to make the engine better, not to think, wow, that thing don't run like it should. I don't think there's anything worse than that. Well, there is, but I mean in the performance world when we do things. But anyway, I'm going to get back to work here and try to make this thing better. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. God bless.